on this Fry Jay. We missed him last week. We've got him this week. Jay St. Clair, as I like to do, I have a question for you to begin our conversation. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
How you doing, Jay?
You know, man, if I were any better, I would be the next giant catfish caught by Hannah Bear.
Sometimes it's so random. I don't know what are you talking about? I have not seen whatever it is that you have found that is delighting you on the intraweb. He's talking about catfishing, Bell.
No, he's talking about hot girls.
He's talking about hot girls noodling. That's what he's doing.
Uh-huh.
Who is this Hannah person, Jay?
She's now 27 years old. She's in South Alabama. She is as country as country. I mean, she fell through the country tree, Matt, and hit every branch. And her job apparently is to make YouTube videos about catching giant catfish with her hands, bare hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she makes me sound like the king of England in terms of her accent. And she used to be on the Twitter years ago, and then she quit that. And just this last week, somebody, I think from the Middle East, posted one of her old videos and said this accent should be illegal. And American women are awful. They're like men. You can't tell them from men.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. If you hadn't seen a video of Hannah Bear, look at one, and you won't be confused about her gender.
Steve writes in and says, "Appreciate y'all." That's apparently her catchphrase.
That's her tagline.
That's her tagline. Appreciate y'all.
That's good, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Well, now I have a homework assignment for the weekend. I've got to look up Hannah and her noodling. Those people are crazy. Jay, how much money? How much money?
None. You could give me all the tea in China, and I would say there is no way I'm jumping in that muddy creek and move my hand around there at the bottom of it until I pull up a 25-pound catfish. I'd never do it, man.
No, I don't think I would either. I don't care. I would be afraid that I would lose the fight, you know?
Right.
Or you stick your hand in a hole that's got a snapping turtle in it.
Or what?
Right.
I mean, yeah, well, snapping turtle. But look, when I was a kid, I lived near Clarks Hill Lake. We on the Georgia side call it Clarks Hill Lake. On the South Carolina side, they call it Thurman Lake because of some dude over there named Strom Thurmond. But whatever. And we heard stories of like 250-pound catfish at the bottom of that lake that would eat you if you got near them. I ain't going near them.
No, I wouldn't either. Hannah's not scared.
Yeah, she ain't scared. Well, you ain't scared of going fast, and you ain't scared of the law, and I am not scared to ask you this question. So what do you make? The decision came down today. I think it's a good day for Donald Trump, and I can give you my political analysis why in a minute. Right. But tell me what was decided today by the judge.
Yeah, you're talking about in Georgia. Right?
I'm talking about in Georgia with Fannie Willis.
Yeah, so what he said is the fact that Fannie, well, let's just assume she was having a romantic relationship with this independent contractor she hired and paid $1 million. That does not create a legal conflict of interest in prosecuting the case. That was a narrow ruling that he had. I've got the decision right here in my hands, man. And with that, I agree completely. I've told you all along, I don't think this has anything to do with a legal conflict. Now, he did say, but there is no legal conflict. Now, if she were having a romantic relationship with Donald Trump,
or a member of the defense.
Yeah, right, the attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Then now that's a conflict, or a potential conflict. So I think the judge got that part of it right, man. But he went on to say, so there is no legal conflict, but folks, I got to tell you, this looks awful. He said, this looks awful. And the law has this concept of the appearance of impropriety. And he said, well, what we have here is appearance of impropriety.
That's a little.
Do you think Bell has any idea what that reference is to?
It's from Cool Hand Luke, isn't it?
I got you.
Oh,
He got it. He got it.
Excellent.
I get all of my historical knowledge from Guns N' Roses songs.
I wish you. I wish you'd stop being so good to me, boss. Anyway.
Yeah,
isn't that what he? Isn't that what? Hold on a second. So, isn't that what he says? He said it's. You got to understand, it's for your own good. Luke.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I wish you'd stop being so good to me, boss.
Boss, I wish you could be so good.
So the appearance of impropriety.
Mm-hmm. Right. And his solution for that is one of y'all got to go. We're not going to go to trial with a happy couple in here. Trying this case together.
So he left it up to Fannie herself.
Right.
Said you either fire Nathan Wade or you leave, which one would naturally believe that would eliminate Nathan Wade from the equation too. I guess it doesn't have to, but a lot in the media tried to initially point this as a victory for Fannie Willis or a victory for Nathan Wade. And what it seemed to me the judge said, Jay, and tell me if I'm reading it right, is, look, I'm pretty sure y'all did lie to me about when all of this started, but the defense didn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. So you're good in that regard, but we're not going forward with any of this. You need to get him out of the courtroom and we'll move on, or you can recuse yourself and we'll get a new DA.
Yeah, that's right. But I would say this, man, even if she intentionally lied to him about it, that's not a legal conflict of interest.
Right.
That may be a violation of her legal oath, and she might get disbarred from it. But that doesn't mean that she gets taken over that case. That's for the bar to decide at that point whether she's violated legal canons. And then I thought that since day one from this, I've never really understood what anybody was claiming was the actual legal conflict. So I think the judge got that part of it right, but he's right about this.
Well, the suggestion was, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but wasn't the suggestion that, and they never proved any of this, but and I would say the reason they didn't is because these people were good at covering their tracks, is that the only reason she hired Nathan Wade was because of the romantic relationship, and she wanted to pay him, and she benefited from that because of all of these trips that he took her on. So
kickbacks, sure.
Yeah, right.
Well, she's stealing. In effect, she's saying she's stealing.
Right.
Okay, well, fine. Let's say that during the course of all this, she'd been stealing $10,000 a week from the state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Just embezzling money every week, man, which is basically what they're claiming she was doing.
Right.
Well, that's not a conflict of interest. I mean, it's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
She can get arrested or she can lose her law license, but it's not a legal conflict of interest in the sense that term is used in the law. Right? You see what I'm saying?
No, I do.
A prosecutor in the middle of the case goes out and robs a bank. Well, they got it on videotape. He clearly went out and broke the law, robs a bank. That's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah, but if that happened, you don't think they'd pull him off that case?
Well, the judge would not remove him for having a conflict of interest. See, what you've now done is you've hit on, I think, really the key point. This is between her and her supervisor.
Uh-huh.
But I think she's an elected official.
Right, she is.
So her supervisors are the voters. And see, that's why Georgia had to come along and hurry up and write a law that gives, I think, the Attorney General or some statewide organization the authority to discipline or remove misbehaving prosecutors. Georgia law currently doesn't have that, man. Alabama does. I mean, and the way Alabama set up, the Attorney General of the state of Alabama at any time can step in and take over any case being handled by any district attorney in the state of Alabama. But that's not the law in Tennessee.
Right. I got it. Well, I'm a little bit distracted, and I'll tell you why, Jay. It's your fault. because I
You
have
are watching videos.
no, I have super texters on the Members Nutrition Super Text line sending me videos and photographs of Hannah with big old catfish around her neck.
Uh-huh.
And it took me 2 or 3 minutes to see the catfish, if you know what I'm saying.
It ain't just the catfish that's big in that picture.
Well, wait till you hear her talk.
Okay, I can't wait for it. So, final thought on this, and I want to get as many legal questions as we possibly can at 615-737-9986 because I know how much you like to ask them, and I know how much Jay likes to answer them. So, I will forever love the judge, regardless of the efficacy of his ruling or whether you agree with the ruling or don't agree with the ruling, because he used one of my favorite words in his ruling. It's a word that I learned from the fabulous Tennessee Williams play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and the word is mendacity.
Absolutely.
He said that while he did not believe the defense met the burden of proof, that the entire thing has the odor of mendacity. And I love that turn of phrase. And he's right. He's right.
What we have here is the odor of mendacity.
Jay St. Clair is with us. Get your questions in. It's Fri Jay on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, there's a guy. Now, see, that guy that just walked in the door right there, you see him right there beside you? That's Paul Winkler. I talk about Paul Winkler all the time. Paul Winkler stopped. But, of course, he's got the show on Saturdays.
He's here to see me.
I'm sure he is. 3 to 6, right?
3 to 6.
3 to 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Paul popped his head in the door. And he goes, come on, Murph. You're giving him hell on TikTok. You don't trust the guy. And I'm here to tell you, if Paul Winkler told me to trust him, that we needed to shut I would trust that. Because he has demonstrated trustworthiness. You earn that, right?
Well, certainly more so than any politician.
I would tell you. So if Paul was to say it, I'd go. So maybe tomorrow, listen in at 3 o'clock. If at 3 o'clock tomorrow, Paul tells you that we need to shut down TikTok, then I'm all on board. But if he tells you to be leery of the things that the government tells you because there might be a subversive interest, then I'm all on board with that, too. I'm not telling him I'm not telling Paul what to talk about on his show. I'm just saying he popped his head in and said, stop giving the government so much grief. They deserve anyway. Jay St. Clair is with us. We appreciate him being here on a Friday. It is Fri Jay, and we got lots of questions, lots of thoughts coming in. I am incredibly distracted due to my due diligence and my research. Jay gave me a research project, and I'm on top of it, Jay. I'm on top of the Hannah. The Hannah research project is ongoing. I'll tell you all my findings.
Have you heard her talk yet? Have you heard her accent?
I have not heard her talk yet. I've got some videos pulled up. I'm ready to go with them, though.
Okay.
So, Jay, real quick, there was a ruling that came down, a mutual friend of ours, Your Honor. And I was unable to read it in the time that I had between the time that he sent it to us. But it was a ruling about social media platforms and government officials and what does or does not constitute an official government platform or whatnot. Have you had time to read that yet?
Well, Matt, you know me. I've got it right here sitting in my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a unanimous decision of the United States Supreme Court. And they said when a governmental actor posts things on social media, that's an act of the government only if two things are true. One, that person possesses actual authority to speak on the state's behalf on that matter. It's part of that person's job to speak on that matter. So, for instance, if Nancy Pelosi got on Twitter and said something awful about Hannah Barron, then that would not be her acting in her public capacity. That would be her being an idiot with zero taste. So they have to have actual authority. And second, they have to purport to exercise that authority. This is Donald J. Trump, and I'm speaking to you as President of the United States. I'm not speaking to you as a private citizen. Well, then now they have the authority and they're exercising the authority. It's a real kind of technical ruling. But our buddy Richard, who out of respect for him, we won't say his full name, is a public authority. Well, he's an elected official. And he gets the ruling, and we can say this because we're not saying exactly who he is. Ooh, I need to go see who I can block.
But so, I get that, but so it is funny. But you using something like X or Twitter as an example, can't I go from one to the other like that? I mean,
sure you can. I mean, yeah. Here's the deal, and this is why this is hard, man. Public officials also have a private life. And this gets back to kind of the Trump and the document stuff, right? What is the public records and what are the private records? You get to take, what was it I said? You get to take your underwear, but you can't take the silverware.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the government owns the silverware, but you can take your underwear. And so, yeah, public officials or governmental employees are the same thing for the law. They are both public and private. And they can switch back and forth almost, in the bat of an eye, which makes it really difficult. That's a tough problem for the law to deal with.
Well, because and I'm not saying I'm falling any one way or the other on this, but I'm just to use a phrase, I'm just noodling it out here, right? So
you sort of got a one-track mind right now, don't you?
Well, it's your fault. So if I'm a public official and I have a X account and I say, I am a representative of the state of Tennessee in the Tennessee General Assembly. I am a state senator and I'm here, at your service. But I talk about a lot of private, I post videos of this Hannah chick pulling catfish out of the river or whatever. But then occasionally I talk about very serious public matters. Hey, I'm thinking about this law that they're trying to pass, yada, yada, yada. Well, right. if you're my constituent and we had a back and forth and I've blocked you.
Right. I think that's illegal, right? Because now you're blocking me for everything, both public and private. Yep. Okay. And that's why most public officials maintain two accounts, right?
A public and a private.
Official account, and then they have their personal account. But even then, it's not crystal clear, right? Because they could get on their personal account and still act as if they're speaking to the government.
It doesn't feel like the Supreme Court answered that question.
You have the wisdom of scholars.
Well, no, I'm just...
Hey, Bill. You there, Bill?
He's there.
What is my favorite color?
I want to say it was blue.
It's incorrect.
Right.
Incorrect.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to talking to Paul and clear that.
Hey, do you know why Jay likes gray so much, Bell?
No.
Jay, what do you turn gray into?
Green.
He turns gray into green.
That's right. I forgot about that. But you still never told me which you still never told me which crayon is best. What color is the best to write a lawsuit out with?
You're exactly right, man. The water is just as muddy in this area of the law right now as that next creek that Hannah's going to go catch that cat.
I mean, right, because and I've not read it, but based on your analysis, it seems like what they said is, well, if they're doing official things, then people ought to be able to see that. But if they're doing private things, then they ought to be able to do private stuff.
Yep. It's an incredibly hard line to draw. And they weren't very precise in drawing it. And the reason I know that, all 9 justices agreed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what that tells me? They really didn't decide anything.
Yeah. Jay's with us for another segment. We've got him with your telephone calls. Rick's got one. David's got one. A lot of questions coming in on the Super Text line as well. The Members Nutrition Super Text line up and running for legal questions. 615-737-9986. Back after this.
This report is sponsored by Allstays.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up Friday, Mac Attack. We just came up with the subject of Friday Mac Attack. Just came up with the subject. And I'm going to get a suggestion from my good friend, life consultant, gambling buddy, and best friend in the world, Jay St. Clair, on this subject. You know, Jay, after you go off the air at 2:00, we have something called Friday Mac Attack. And every week we do a draft, and there are different subjects. One week we drafted cereals. And once something's taken off the board, you know, nobody else can have it. Sure. This week's subject is best movie vehicles of all time. And
okay, vehicles. Got it.
Like a good example would be the Aston Martin from James Bond.
Well,
right?
absolutely, but I was thinking of the Lotus that Roger Moore actually drove underwater.
That's a pretty good one too.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, no, you could do a whole segment on just James Bond vehicles.
Yeah, Bond vehicles. Yeah.
But that's what we're doing coming up in the 2:00 hour. So you guys hang in for that. Jay, we got a lot of questions on the board, so let's get to them. David is first up with a question for Jay St. Clair. David, you're on the clock, buddy. How are you?
Thank you very much. I have a question. I've never been in trouble before in my life. I met with my ex-girlfriend, and we were supposed to meet up around 7 o'clock. I got over there about 12:30. I wanted to wait because I had a mixed drink. I get over there about 12:30, and she said she would leave the back door open for me, so I walk in. And her roommate calls the police and has me arrested.
I'm so sorry.
And she asked her, not the roommate, but my ex-girlfriend, were you expecting him? And she says no. And
she said the door. She said the door's unlocked. And if you
she told me the door would be unlocked, so I walked in.
Well, did you say the door will be unlocked? You're free to come inside, or did she just say the door will be unlocked?
Now, what? Say again.
Did you say the door will be unlocked, so you're free to come inside, or did she just
come
say
on
the
in.
door will be unlocked?
She said, "Come on in." David?
Yes, she said, "Come on in."
Okay.
And after that,
so now you're dealing with a charge, and I guess your question is, are you guilty of a crime?
yeah, they charged me with aggravated trespassing.
Right.
And then after he handcuffed me and put me...
Yeah, David, what's your question?
And after...
Well, David.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm limited on time. I got a lot of people in line. I need to get to a question.
Okay. I mean, my lawyer they keep putting it off. This is the third time the DA has put it off. And my lawyer just keeps saying, let me handle it. Let me handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't know what to expect.
David, what's your question?
So what's the question?
The question is, I don't know what to expect when I go to court soon.
Well, if I were in your shoes, I would expect to get cut loose free. If you got any kind of lawyer, you ought to be walking away from that case, David.
Right, because
I wouldn't be too worried about where is it? Where's it?
I cut him loose, Jay. I'm sorry. That's on me. I cut him loose
because he was given permission to enter the building, man. So that's not trespassing,
right?
But now she made crawfish on him. That's a legal term,
David.
Bill, if you need me to translate it into this, let me know. If she crawfishes and said, no, I never gave him permission, then it's a swearing match between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an honest voice. I believe he's going to have an honest face, and I think he's going to win that swearing match. But he did not commit a crime.
Well, 73-47 kind of put it in terms where I can get down and graze on it. It sounds like David got caught in the old okey doke. That's what we used to call it back in the day, the old okey doke. All right, Rick, you're up next with Jay St. Clair. Rick, thank you for your call. How are you?
Hey, fine. You doing okay?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
Okay, I was in a car accident earlier this year, and basically a guy cut in front of me and totaled my car.
Oh, no.
Totaled his, too. Yeah. And his insurance admitted fault, and they sent a claims adjuster out to look at the car, my car, and they totaled it. But they're not giving me enough money for it, is my problem.
No,
and my insurance is out of it, so.
Yep. So here, I mean, you got a couple of choices here. You know, you're really not going to like them, but they never give you that money, Rick. And the truth of the matter is, even if they gave you a so-called fair market value, you're never going to be made whole. Let's say they give you $10,000 for the car. If you go out and spend $10,000, you're not going to get the car that was as good as the car you had. That's just the way it works. But so here's your choice: is just work the best deal with the insurance company you can, and then if you just absolutely are not satisfied with what you're getting, then you just got to hire a lawyer.
Got to hire, yeah.
I mean, the lawyer's got to pay a little bit. But let's say they're only offering you 10, and you get a lawyer, and the lawyer gets them up to 15. Well, if you have to go halfers with the lawyer on the difference, you're still $2,500 to the good.
Well, I can't even get a lawyer. Then nobody wants to handle it because I didn't go to the hospital.
Yeah, because there's not enough money involved in it.
Okay.
How much? What's the difference in between? Don't tell me what they're offering you, but what's the difference between what they're offering you and what you'd take?
Probably about $8,000. If I had to replace the car, that's what it would cost me. It was a '97 model, but they're going for $20,000 now.
I know. Listen, I totally get it. You can sue them in small claims court. You can sue them in general sessions court, and you don't need a lawyer to do it. If you can't get a lawyer, and I get it, lawyers, a lot of times they won't take cases unless it's got a lot of money in it. You can file that lawsuit yourself. They're not going to want to deal with it, and they'll give you some more money.
How about going after the driver?
Well, I mean, the driver may not have any money. You technically you would sue the driver, but then his insurance would pick it up. So you actually file the lawsuit against the driver, but then his insurance steps in. What
small claims?
Well, general sessions court. What county are you in?
It would probably be in Williamson County.
Yeah, Williamson. Yeah. Just go on the web and go to the Williamson County website. And look up General Sessions Court, and they will have the forms there and so forth that you use to file your own lawsuit.
And go after the driver or the insurance company?
You'd file the lawsuit. You'd file a lawsuit against the driver.
Okay.
But then the insurance company will step in. They're the ones
that'll motivate them, maybe.
Yep. They don't want to have to deal with you.
Rick, best of luck. Let us know how it goes, buddy. Thank you for the call. 615-737-9986. If you have thoughts or a call, I've got a number of questions from the super text line at 615-737-9986, brought to you by Members Nutrition. Question for Jay. Do you think the Bar Association, the Georgia Bar Association, will request to depose Ms. Willis upon reviewing the judge's decision from yesterday? Would they have any valid reason to take an independent look at this situation?
Yes, they would have absolutely a valid reason to do it because there is a strong, there is an odor of mendacity,
love that,
and including under oath. And so, yes, they certainly have grounds to do it. And I'll be honest with you, I will be very disappointed if they don't. I don't know how political the Bar Association is in Georgia. And, I mean, let's be honest, so much of this is more about politics than law. But if something like that happened to me, I bet you the bar would look into me.
Well, no question. I mean, and you've taught me so much about where the law ends and politics starts, and I kind of come at it from the other direction. But what I felt like just in reading the synopsis of the decision this morning was that the judge was like, "Yeah, you know what? All of this stuff that y'all are saying she did, I believe you. I think she did it." But I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not she can continue here. Now, he can't, but you know what? She hasn't done anything that would violate her ability to continue in this case.
You said that exactly right, because, again, this concept of a conflict of interest is a narrow, very technical concept in the law, Matt. It does not apply to all misbehavior. You said that exactly right. It's for somebody other than this judge to decide if she should lose her job or otherwise be penalized.
All right, two more real quick before I have to go. Ask a Jay, how do you file a complaint against a lawyer?
You file it with the Bar Association.
Okay.
Go to the website. I'm assuming it's in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And go to the Tennessee Bar website, and on there they'll have a tab that says, "How do you file a complaint against a lawyer?" And they'll make it pretty easy for you.
And then the final question of the day for you, Jay. I'm sorry, I'm giving it up a little bit because I giggled while I said that. Has Jay gotten the phone number from the lady at Genesis Diamonds yet?
I called Pamela Furr last week to get that number for that lady. But I'm going to be honest with you now. Genesis Diamonds needs to change who does their voiceovers. Because I must say that was an interesting accent. But once you listen to Hannah, you're going to say, oh, they need to get rid of that Frenchie. They need to get rid of that Frenchie or whatever she was, or somewhere down the Caribbean or something like that. And they need to get them a country girl.
Good old country girl. Out noodling and hadn't lost her diamond ring yet. That's actually a pretty good angle for an ad, right?
Actually, that's a pretty good verse, the first song of country music.
A country girl out noodling, hadn't lost that diamond ring yet. Jay, you know how much fun I have with you. Good luck this weekend on the track.
Love you, brother.
All right, take care. There's Jay St. Clair joining us for the better part of the hour. And for any of you with questions and thoughts for Jay St. Clair, my apologies. There's always next week, next Friday, 1:50 on Super Talk.